Hey folks, this is Rhykker with a video about the Diablo 2 overhaul mod, Median XL. Now, in my teenage years, I played the hell out of Diablo 2. It's the game that made me fall in love with the franchise. I played it for years, but at some point after years of there being no substantial updates, I moved on to other games. Still love the game and I would revisit it every now and then, but it was still the same thing and I would quickly get bored of my nostalgia trip and move on. Enter Median XL. A mod that made me fall in love with Diablo 2 again and really be excited and have a lot of fun learning new systems within the game again. Median XL is a mod that allows you to rediscover Diablo 2. It allows you to experience the game in a new way. It's a mixture of what's familiar and what's not. In many ways, it improves upon Diablo 2. We've got quality of life stuff, we've got added endgame content, and really the biggest change that you'll notice when you first load in is that the character classes are completely different. All new skill trees, all new skills, so just that alone is a whole new thing to discover. I'm a sorceress that's shooting out poison spiders. That's my build. I shoot poison spiders. That's 30 new skills for each class. There's all new items to find and discover as well, and a really cool system whereby you could actually upgrade unique items. There's a whole bunch of new crafting materials and crafting recipes that, if you're a Path of Exile player, some of these will be familiar to you, or at least it'll be more familiar to you than if you're just a Diablo 3 player. But it very much takes the base of Diablo 2 and builds upon it with complexity and crafting in a similar way that Path of Exile did with the genre. Now, I've only played single player, but apparently there's this whole online scene as well with community events and seasons with themes. Of course, you wouldn't be able to play it through regular Diablo 2 Battle.net, you would be connecting to their specific servers. And there's also a whole slew of endgame content, which I haven't gone to yet, I'm only level 89. But honestly, I didn't think it was possible for me to rekindle that love of Diablo 2. And that's not a criticism of Diablo 2, I just think that it's okay to move on from something after a while. Oftentimes, a big part of the fun of something is the sense of discovery, of new things, of discovering all the systems, of fully exploring all of the content. And I have quite a few games that I wish I could get hit on the head and get amnesia and revisit these games fresh for the first time without knowing anything about them and relive those same feelings that I had when I first played the game. And another issue that I would have when I would try to replay Diablo 2 is just a lot of the quality of life stuff that Diablo 3 introduced. Stuff that's as simple as auto gold pickup. This mod introduces a lot of quality of life features. We've also got more inventory space, more stash space, we've got higher resolution, you don't have to buy town portals anymore, it's now a skill on a 10-second cooldown, the max character level is increased to 150, they completely changed the movement system. I think now the former run speed is now your default walk speed, and instead of a toggle between run and walk, you have a sprint button that you can hold down to go even faster. So overall, you're just benefiting from a lot faster speed. It really helps kick up the pace of the game and already starts you off moving fast, whereas in base Diablo 2, you start off moving rather slow and gradually build up speed. I definitely felt that certain boss fights were easier than I remembered. That was through normal difficulty, however. For instance, the Duran fight, I remember that being really unnerving, difficult. He would just jump on you, attack really fast, he'd have that slowing effect on you, whereas taking on Duran in Median was relatively easy. He moved slower, he didn't just immediately jump on us. That said, the difficulty in Median really starts ramping up in Nightmare. Alright, now let me walk you through some of what we see in the game and my specific character setup right now. If we bring up the character page, we can see a mixture of a facelift given to information that is familiar to us, but it's when we pop open the skill menu that we see all the new things. So, right off the bat, now typically in Diablo 2, sorceresses could use fire, lightning, and cold. Those were the skill trees. Now, fire, lightning, and cold is combined into one tree, each getting its own column. So let's go through the skills that I'm using right now. Starting with Living Flame, it's a passive that gives me life regeneration and increased max life. With every additional skill point put into this skill, I get more life regen and more max life. Next in the fire tree, I have Fire Dance. This is a huge party buff. It lays down an area, and as long as you or any party members are standing in that area, you deal a bunch more damage. As you put more points into it, this effect becomes stronger, and as you level up, the cooldown on this ability lessens. So you're going to start by using it just when you're up against bosses, and then you're going to be using it more and more frequently as you go on. Now moving into our Poison, Arcane, and Melee tree. I hear there's actually some great, very powerful melee sorceress builds, but we ended up going with something crazy, a Spider Sorc. Our main attack skill here is Arachnomancy. It just summons a burst of spiders that erupt from the target. It is nightmare fuel, but it is crazy fun. As you put more points into it, the spiders deal more damage, and the other synergy bonus is that as you increase your energy, the spell also deals more damage. Now apart from that, I'm using a passive buff called Vengeful Power. Anytime I am struck for 5 seconds thereafter, I will deal extra damage. It also gives us plus max life, physical resist, and a chance to crush attackers. And as a synergy with an increase to base level, you gain more physical resist and more chance to crush. Then I'm also using Hive, another buff. This basically surrounds me with a swarm of bees, and if enemies come near me, the bees will periodically go attack them. Further, it also gives you 25% of your base vitality added to energy. And an interesting synergy here, energy and dexterity will give you increased damage to this effect. Now, I've also invested a single skill point into Familiar. This gives me 15% increased attack speed, 25% increased energy, and +1 to all skills. Now, you may ask, well, you have 13 points in there. How are you saying you've only invested 1 skill point? I have. You can see even here, the prerequisite, I only have 1 skill point. That's because throughout everything else, I have +12 to all skills via gear and abilities. So we're going to take a look at our gear to see exactly what's going on there. Popping open our gear screen, right away you can see our extra inventory space. Now, new unique items. The Gnarlant Dream Smoked Sphere. That bracket 4, that is the tier. This is a tiered unique. Tiered uniques go from level 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, becoming more powerful every time you upgrade them, and we'll explain how you upgrade them in a bit. But this item at level 4 gives me +4 to sorceress skill levels. Now apart from our Gnarlant Dream, we have our Lava Dome Helm here, +1 to all skills. I haven't gotten this one to level 4 yet. Over here I have the Cloud Ladder Spiked Shield, also only tier 3 for now, but +2 to all sorceress skill levels. You can see there's a lot of lightning resist and poison resist in there. 5 sockets on this item, and you can faintly see that I've inserted some gems in there to pump up my resistances. For my amulet, kind of suboptimal right here. Cast speed, a little bit of spell damage. I'm mostly using it for those 2 resists. Queen of Glass Ancient Armor. Only got that one to tier 2, but a big reason for it is the -11% to enemy elemental resistances. I'm a poison build, and I want enemies to not resist my attacks. Remember, Diablo 2 is a game where enemy resistance was a big thing, and I believe in this mod they call it Absorb, so enemies might be Poison Absorb. For our gloves, only tier 3, Vile Hand, +1 to all skills, but 18% bonus to poison skill duration, and 19% to poison spell damage. Big buff for our build. Our boots, Lucky Rabbit's Foot here, tier 4, big buff to move speed, big buff to spell damage. Then our belt here is really nothing special. We didn't get into optimizing this build yet. In fact, I believe there was a belt that I either wanted to craft or use a rune word on, I don't fully remember. As for our gloves here, regenerate mana. I found that my build was quite mana thirsty, so I was trying to stack a lot of mana regen. If we go over here to Halbu, and every city has one character that sells these, you can find a bunch of crafting reagents. Now each of these you can see 6% cast speed +4 to required level. These are items that you can use. It's a gold sink. You add it to the item, it's going to increase the level though. In other words, you don't want to put yourself in a position where you've put so many enchants on an item that you're no longer high enough level to use that item. And then our other ring, again, helping to round out our resistances. Now, how do we upgrade these tiered uniques? enter the arcane crystals. Every so often you'll get one of these as a drop, or you get them by breaking down unique items in your cube. They'll disassemble into components that you can then assemble into an arcane crystal. Then if you take one of these and you cube it with one of your tiered uniques, it's going to increase the level of that unique. However, with 2 of these, you can purchase from a vendor an oil of enhancement to upgrade a normal item into a unique item. So you might be wondering, how do I have all of these items that fit my build so well? Well, I looked up what uniques the game has to offer, and I crafted myself the ones that would be helpful for me. So this is a nice system that allows us to take uniques that we find that we don't need, and at a sacrifice, at a cost, break them down in order to create a unique that we do want. Now, going over to our stash for a moment here, you'll see we got a bunch of runes. One thing about rune words in this mod, they are accessible from the early game. It's a lot easier to get sockets on items. More items roll sockets on them. Rune words are a lot shorter. Runes are dropping from earlier level. It's easier to upgrade runes into other runes or downgrade runes. And rune words are one of the most interesting systems in Diablo 2, but they were very inaccessible. Most casual players probably never ended up creating their own rune word. Maybe they traded for items or something. But with this mod, it's very straightforward to start crafting rune words, you know, the less exciting ones, from the early game. And then you get to move in progressively into the better and rarer rune words. So if you were a fan of Diablo 2 and you're looking to re-experience Diablo 2 in a new way, I highly encourage you to check out this mod, Median XL. I'll drop a link in the video description below. Thanks for watching. Special thanks to my Twitch, Patreon, and YouTube supporters for making these videos possible. If you like what you see on this channel and want to support the creation of more content, you can consider supporting me on Patreon or YouTube and unlocking behind-the-scenes content. Your support is immensely appreciated. If you enjoyed this video, please share it, check out these other videos, and subscribe to join Rhykker's Raiders for more gaming content.